Hi everybody, my name is Treasure, and as you know, I am a master's student here at Cal Poly, and I'm also a TA for the Biological Sciences Department. And currently it is Wednesday of week 6, and we have a busy day in which I will be teaching later in the afternoon today and also observing a section. So I'm going to be taking you along with me throughout the day so you can get an idea of what it is like to be a TA here at a major university. I'm at Cal Poly SLO, so if you're here and are thinking about TAing, this will give you a direct idea of what it is like to be a teaching assistant. But if you work at another university, this is also going to give you an idea of what that typically looks like. So right now I am in my lab office. This is just a specific private space. So if you work for a lab here at Cal Poly or other universities, oftentimes you will have a space that is dedicated as like a little office room so that graduate students as well as undergrads have a space to study or get some research done. Currently, I'm waiting here until a student shows up in a couple of minutes because they are going to be taking an exam that they missed last week, because last week I had my students take a midterm. I teach Bio 111, which is just a intro biology class for non-majors. So typically, if you are teaching a class that is for non-majors or majors, you will often be assigned to teach a lab class. What that means is that you're not going to be the primary lecturer for the entire class, but you will teach a lab section. That's where students are going to be able to practice some lab techniques and be able to actually engage with the material in a more tangible way rather than just having a lecture. They're actually going to be able to practice some lab activities and get that opportunity that they might not be able to if they're not in a research lab, for example. So like I said, I teach Bio 111, which is for the non-majors, whereas if you're at Cal Poly, you have the opportunity to teach any of the intro series for the majors. So if you're a microbiology major, a marine sciences major, or a biology major, you will have the opportunity to take Bio 150, Bio 161, and Bio 162. This is your intro series for biology. This is going to get you caught up to speed when you take your upper division classes. This essentially sets the groundwork for those upper division classes. So if you are interested in being a TA, those are some great classes to TA for, as well as, like I said, a non-major class such as Bio 111. You can also teach some more rigorous courses such as Bio 263, which focuses on evolution and ecology, or you can even focus on something that's more within your discipline. If you are a grad student, for example, in microbiology, we have some microbio intro classes that you would be able to teach, or even you have the opportunity to shadow other professors and teach like more specific classes, such as like a marine science class, if that's something that is more interesting to you. How it typically works, if you are a grad student here at Cal Poly, you will get an email that has you fill out a survey that talks about your availability for the upcoming quarter, what classes you typically would like to teach, or what you are feeling most comfortable about teaching. And for the most part, there are enough lab sections where you would be able to at least teach one course here at Cal Poly. I can't speak about other universities. I've heard other universities, it's a little bit more challenging to get a lab section, but here at Cal Poly, if you're interested in teaching, most of the grad students have the opportunity to teach, because this is either just some like extra money / income that you would be able to earn, or this helps pay for tuition, of course. If you are interested in TAing, you go ahead, you fill out that survey, and within like a couple of days, the team will get back to you and tell you which sections you are teaching. One of the misnomers when you hear the word TAing is that you are in a room with another professor, essentially just being a helper, aiding them with whatever lesson they are teaching, or passing out papers, or just helping facilitate interactions with the students. That's not the case when you are a lab TA. So you are the instructor on record when it comes to TAing a lab class, at least at Cal Poly, and I know for a lot of other major universities, that means you are the sole instructor for that particular lab section. So you are in the room just with the students. You don't have another teacher that's in there helping you. So you are there by yourself teaching the students. You are responsible for creating exams, for example, if that is something that your particular class requires. I know for Cal Poly, if you teach one of the intro series for the major classes, you don't have to create your own exam, that's created for you. But if you do teach a non-major class, you will get the opportunity to make your own exam, which is fun because you get to kind of practice test creation skills, which, if that's something that is kind of nerve-wracking for you, a lot of times at universities, at least for Cal Poly, we have a class that introduces you to what it is like to be a TA, and it's a pretty easy credit, no credit class where you go and just get some basic principles of how to teach, and that includes like making your lesson plans and even like test creation, so you kind of get a little bit of practice doing that. So that's one of the misnomers when it comes to hearing the word TA, is it's oftentimes assumed that you're in with another professor helping them. But here at Cal Poly and most major universities, if you're a TA for a lab section, that means you are the sole instructor and the instructor on record. Okay, so I am now going to be going to observe my class. So if you are a TA, you will be expected, if you haven't taught the class before, to go observe an experienced instructor so that you can understand how the lesson flow will operate, and that you can feel ready and comfortable and prepared to teach the class when it's your turn. Okay, I just finished with observing as well as teaching my lab section, which was all about genetics and blood types, which was a really fun class to teach. They were actually able to take their own blood types. So here's a look at the lab space after it's all finished for the day. And we're gonna head home. Again, this was all about different blood types and genetics, so a little intro to genetics for the non-major students, which was really fun to teach. And now we're going to head out and go home for the day. Here's a little look at what Cal Poly looks like at night. We've gotten some rain over the past couple of days. Okay, so it is Thursday of week 6, and I'm doing some lab work today, and then I also TA in about 20 minutes. So right now I'm just getting some samples out to thaw because I will be doing a little dissection demo for some new students in our lab. So here's my fridge with all of our lab samples in here. I have some samples that are housed on the bottom here, so that is what I'm going to be pulling from. I'm just going to grab a few out because we're likely not going to get to dissect a ton of samples today. So I'm just going to grab a few out, enough so that I can show the new people in the lab how we complete dissections of these particular samples. I'll probably grab one more stack. So that we have everything set up. And then now I'm just gonna do some labeling of some glass vials, which we have in our back supply stash over here. These are just these little vials that we're able to put samples in and then freeze them until we are ready to analyze them. So here are some samples that are waiting to be analyzed. And then we also have more samples up here. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next few minutes until my class starts at noon. This stick is handled over on this back lab bench back here, because this is typically where we do like more microplastic work in the lab. And I'm gonna grab some tape. So we have our samples now laid out on these pans with an experiment in progress tag, so that people are cognizant and aware if they are in the lab that this station is going to be reserved. We're doing some microplastic processing later on today. And with that, I'm gonna head out because I do have to make it to my class that starts at 12 o'clock. So that gives me a little time to set up, and it is in the building next to Science North, so it's in Fisher Science. So I have to walk a little bit to go get there. So I'm gonna run over there and get my classroom set up so that I can teach my class. It's gonna be the same class that I taught yesterday. It's going to be genetics focused with a little bit of blood typing. And because I already observed a class yesterday, I don't have to worry about observing the class today because it would be the same observation. So now I've both observed and taught the lab once, so I'm good to go for teaching it today without doing an observation. So it is currently Friday of week 6, and I'm back in the lab to do a little bit of work because I plan on doing some spawning in the next couple of days of some sea urchins that we have out at the Cal Poly Pier. So I'm just getting some glassware up and ready so that we have clean glassware located out at the pier, and then I'm also going to be filtering some seawater, which is used in embryo culturing. So I'm going to show you what that looks like today.